Well, happening today, more than 300 new laws go into effect in Oklahoma, and there are plenty that will have an impact on your daily life.
Yeah, here's a list of the big 3 laws that we're highlighting this half hour. Top that list is probably the most controversial. It's permitless carry. A last-minute effort to delay the new law failed, and the Oklahoma Supreme Court denied an emergency motion filed by a lawmaker who claims the law, also called constitutional carry, is unconstitutional. Starting today, adults who can legally have a firearm in the state can carry it in public without a background check or training. J.C. Perryman, manager of the 2A Shooting Center here in Tulsa, says people should still seek training, though.
Carrying a firearm without any type of training would be the equivalent of giving a teenager a car and say you don't need a driver's license.
Fire! Now, it's important to remember the new law does not change where guns are allowed. Private businesses still have a right to say no guns allowed, and you have to follow that rule because of private property laws. So do schools, colleges, and government buildings like the state capitol or courthouses.
And another big story we're following today. More than 400 Oklahoma inmates are expected to walk out of prison starting today. House Bill 1269 becomes law, and it retroactively changes some felony crimes to misdemeanors. Governor Kevin Stitt is expected to sign the commutations this morning, making it the largest inmate release in the country. And thanks to another new law going into effect today, their voting rights will also be restored when released.
And also in effect today, a law that places limits on the number of opioid pills that doctors can prescribe. Torch View's Ashley Wheeler breaks down how it all works and how doctors feel about the changes affecting them and their patients. Ashley?
Well, with this new law, doctors are now only allowed to initially prescribe a week's worth of opioid drugs at the lowest dose. And before they prescribe another 7 days, they have to meet with their patient to make sure they're not at risk for abuse or addiction. If more is needed, further pain management options need to be discussed. Additionally, more safeguards are in place for patients who suffer from chronic pain. Both the patient and doctor will enter into a pain management agreement to explain the risks and review the treatment plan at a minimum of every 3 months.
The initial legislation was designed to try to avoid that initial huge exposure to the opioids. So the legislation was designed to put a very expected evolution of how much you could give somebody on an initial prescription and within the first 30 days ultimately.
The law also mandates that doctors receive an extra hour of continuing medical education in pain management or in opioid abuse and addiction before renewing their license. And coming up in the next 30 minutes, we spoke to one Green Country man who suffers from chronic pain and why he thinks these new laws are keeping doctors from helping their patients. Corey, Travis?
All right, thanks, Ashley. Well, another new law that's now in effect means that you're going to be seeing some more people at liquor stores.
Yeah, they'll be a little bit busier. Anyone younger than 21 will now be able to enter liquor stores with a parent instead of staying alone in the car. And it's important to emphasize the law does not let a minor in with someone over the age of 21. It must be legal guardians or a parent.
And it also now it's a felony to use or even have a card skimmer that goes on an ATM. They're used to steal digital information from a credit or debit card, and those who fight fraud say they're used more widely now than ever.
They're getting a lot more sophisticated as well, harder to spot. The technology in them alone, in the devices alone, make it easier for these criminals to get away with this.
And before you insert or slide your card at a gas station or an ATM, check to see if there's a cover over the reader or a pull-away keypad. They say the safest way to protect your information is to avoid using your PIN number when you can. Only use trusted ATMs inside of banks or just pay with cash. And we have much more information on even more new laws that are going into effect today. You can find all of that over on our website, KJRH.com, and on our free 2 Works For You app.